Hi, so welcome back. In the last session, we have probably we have done with login, register, and logout functionalities of our application, and now we move towards uh, designing the homepage. First, we'll set up our homepage so that it is like so that if our admin is logged in, we the admin dashboard is visible, and similarly, if customer is logged in, a customer dashboard is visible based on the same navigation link. So we'll be using the help of Jinja and the session details which we did last time. So I'll share my screen now. Just give me a minute. Let me open the.
Yeah, it is visible.
All right. So if you see what all we have done here. So in the last session, we have done a code. We have written the code in the particular file called as auth_routes.py, where we have defined all the functionalities for login, logout, and register. Here, when we were logging in, we were storing some information about the user, such as user email and what is its role in something called as in session. And we'll be using this session itself to navigate. So when you click on, when you have been successfully logged in, you are being redirected to a page called as in home. So this is has been written in the home.html. So right now in this particular template, we are just displaying welcome to the grocery store. However, what we want to do is here is a auth.route.py. So when you are logged in, let's say that your role is in store manager. Here in the base.html, sorry, the home.html, all the details or all the credentials which are for your what for and a store manager should be displayed. So how we can do that? So we can use conditionals. So if you remember, there is in Jinja we have conditionals, like we can use if else statements, and that is being provided to us by Jinja. So we'll use that. So for now, what I will do is uh, let's say I'll be so all the conditionals, like all the if else conditions, we can use curly brackets, and like the way we have done for the blocks here. Similarly, we can use this curly brackets and a percentage symbol to define if statements. So what I can do, I'll just say if not session dot get and user underscore email. So when I was describing the sessions here, right, I told you that you can consider the session as a dictionary. All right. And the dictionary in Python has a function called as .get. We have seen that when we were defining form with .get, right? So we thought that this is a dictionary, and then we .get email and stuff like that. So similar thing which we are using, and you can think of it like though. So in the home.html page, so you can think, right, that this particular code is this particular function which is being provided to us by the Python, because we are rendering this template into the Python. So this function, this session.get, is a Python function, and so this will behave similarly. And we say that if we have an user email, and so if we don't have an user email, let's say we also specify none here. So if there is no if user email is not there, it will return none. And since it is returning none, it would be this condition would be true. So false, so this is returning as false. So what it means is that our user is not logged in, right? So we can here for now we can just say we can put right now in heading saying that login slash register. We can modify it later, we'll modify it later, but for now let's say we do it slash login slash register. And now and if the above condition is being false, right, if this condition gets false, so what we wanted to do here is that means that our user is logged in. I hope this point is clear, no confusion over here. So if user is not logged in, how we are checking it? We are checking if the session has an user email. If it does not have a user email, that means that the user is not logged in. We are asking the users to log in or register. But if that's not the case, we want to display different pages based on different role of the user. All right. So how we can do that? We can have a nested if inside here, saying that if above condition we check whether we have an email address or not. Here we can check if rule, uh, if admin rule is there, if admin in session dot get rules. So that's how we have stored here. Let me check in register dot where is auth dot py. Yeah, here. So this particular thing, user rule, is a list every time for us. It's a list, right? So I'm querying into this list whether admin is there or not. And if it's not there, if is admin is there, we'll be redirecting to the admin page. Otherwise, we'll say else if, let me, else if store manager in session dot get roles and none. So we'll be redirecting it to the store manager role. So right now, let's also add some strings store manager. I'm just writing it to distinguish between different pages. We'll modify it later. And if none of the things are there, then we are displaying it as in customer. So I have modified my template in a certain way. So if you focus, this is a block which is so there's like one if else block here. What we are trying to do here is we are checking the email, and if email is not there in session, that means that we have not logged in the user. So we will be we will be asking the user to log in, register. Maybe you can have a custom page which you can use here. Similarly, if you have an admin in the if and right now, if we are at this particular point, we know that we have a user email in our system. That means that we also have a roles attribute in the session. So we can check whether the admin is there in the sessions, and if it's admin, we'll be redirecting to the admin admin homepage. Otherwise, we will be redirecting to the store manager or a customer, depending on its various conditions. Any doubts in the syntax or the logic here, what we are trying to do?
No, I got clear.
Sorry, your voice was not clear.
I said it's clear to me.
Okay, anyone else is in the meeting? Okay, so we'll move ahead now. So let's first check whether this logic is working for us or not, right? It's good to check so that we can move ahead. So we'll activate our environment. Once activated, we'll run python mail.py. And we'll visit. Some log error. It says that we have expected end of statement block, and there is something problem with this. So I think there won't be any space. So this error is a Jinja exception, and we won't be having space here. So we have saved this particular file. Now let's go and refresh. There is still, okay, I have to restart the server now. And let's see if the same error persists. Same error persists. So let's go to Jinja template. And we see how we can use if else statement here. If, oh, it should be elif, not else if, sorry for that. And we can put it elif. Let's save. And I think it will work now. Let's go and let's refresh the page. Yes, since we have not logged in, we see that it's a login or register page. Let's log in with admin credentials. We have not specified the hyperlinks yet, so we'll go and log in. Admin at gmail.com 12345678990. And now we got another error. Let's see what error we got now. And it says that none type is not iterable. What error is coming? This is again coming in this Jinja. Where is my home.html? In this particular line. And it says that none is not iterable. That is, here this we are getting a none over here. Session.get, this was returning none for us. And the problem might lie between, let's see. So what, instead of the roles name, what we have given here, but how we are storing, oh, it should be user role. The name which we have given here, it's user role in the session. So that's the problem. So we'll change. So we didn't specify any roles uh, roles key in a session. It was a user underscore role. So that was the error. So we'll update this thing over here now. And hopefully with this problem gets resolved. Oh, it's still there. Let's check what is there now. It still says that I triple none. Hmm. Okay, give me 2 minutes to see what is the possible error here. I'm testing it now. So any variable which is there in my yeah, I got the problem why this problem is there, but any variable which is there in Jinja which I'm passing, I can use double curly brackets to print those variables. So that's the one thing I hope you are aware of. So we'll use that to display what is we are getting in user underscore rule. Also, we will also, one thing which we will do is we'll also say the type of this particular thing. So probably this is a string right now. That's why it is not an iterable object. That's the error we are getting right now. But just to verify that this particular thing is a string and not a list. So we'll check that. So let's save. And now let's see how things work here. Okay, first I have to, remove, I'll comment all this, or I'll just remove it for a moment. To explain how things are working for us now. So is it same? Did I save the file? Yes, I did save the file. And don't see. Session.get user underscore role. And this is there. And user underscore role is there. Okay, okay. It's an n type. It should display none, and we are not iterating over it. It should save the file. Okay, let's run it again. Yes. So we are getting the rule as like this, but it's a string and it's not an. Uh, so we can make a print statement here. When we are redirecting to the home page, let's say in author route, Okay, we are getting all this, whatever information the session which we stored. So this is how we can get the information, right? So now can we convert this into a list by using this function which is also being passed to us by Jinja? Oh, sorry, Python. Let's see. Any errors? Now we have to stop the server and restart it. Okay. List is not defined. So this is not a valid function in Jinja. So how we deal with this? So let's go to the designer template. Here now there are certain filters. If you see here, we have various kind of built-in functions which we can look for. So there's this function called as list. You can see it, right? So we have a function called as list. So now how we can use filters. So the way we use filters is using the pipe symbol. So let's do that. Now instead of using this Jinja, so I showed you that so I told you that we can use a Python course. So this session.get is being is a Python function which is which we're using in these curly brackets, double curly brackets. But since we stored as a list in our session, and we are getting as a string here, so we need to convert this into a list before making those iteratable things which you are trying to do when such as admin not in or in that particular role. So that's what we are trying to do right over there. That is not possible. So how to deal with this kind of a situation is which we are trying to solve now. So if I say this and I just pass as a list, so this is how I can use the inbuilt filters in Jinja. So now it will do a typecast. So let's see if this is working or not. And so let's do this. If we didn't get any error, that means that this has been done properly. So let's go and go to here and let's refresh it. And it is being we didn't got any error. So this conversion from a string to list has happened properly. And now we can use this the way we were using it. So I will bring back the code which I removed for a while. So the code here was like if admin uh, in session dot this particular rule, or we can just specify session dot get, and it would be user underscore role, but we'll pass it to list. So and this is what we are trying to do over here now. Admin, so the session dot get underscore the user role, it's the data type of this particular return, the function, whatever this function return is a string for us now. So we will convert it into a list with the help of filters which are being provided to us by Ginger. So there are many functions you saw when I was going through the documentation. You saw that there are many functions such as list, capitalize, lower, upper. So you can use those functions to customize your front end. So let's say that you want to display everything capital over there. You can just say pipe symbol and capitalize or upper. So that will change your case to uppercase or lowercase. Similarly, that's the way we are trying to convert it into list for now and see if this works properly now. So let's see. Let's stop our server, restart it because we have made changes there, and let's refresh. And we are able to get into this particular line here. So you see this welcome admin is inside this particular if block. So now this particular conversion to a list has been successful. So similar conversions from a string to list can be done by using these filters called which we are defining. Any doubts? I know I have made a bit it in the starting might have been a bit confusing, but I think it is good that we got those errors, and we now know how to systematically figure out what the problem was. Arav?
Yeah, got it. But just there is a little bit of confusion in that none type error which was there. So can you just explain it again, that session dot get function again, just a little bit?
Okay. So just focus here. Okay. Uh, so when we say session dot get and we said user underscore role, right? When we say this, right, what is the data type of this? So the data type of this is a string. Okay. So since the data type of this particular variable, whatever the value which we are getting is a string here, and I'm using a in function here. So I was using admin in some string, and this function, this like checking in a function is because the string is not an iteratable function. That's why we are getting none type is not iteratable, because a string is not an iteratable. So we cannot use admin in or like that here. Uh,
Okay,
did I
okay,
make
got it,
sense?
got it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's remove it. I don't need this here. And let's also, try our logging in with customer details and user details to make sure that everything is working, because before moving that, I want to make sure that we don't have any errors at this particular point. Because at later stage, it would be very difficult to debug where the problem exactly is. So I want to make sure that the store manager and the customer details are being that logic condition is also correct. I know that won't be there won't be any issues, but it's good to check. So we have store manager one and customer one. Okay. So let's log out slash log out. We have logged out successfully. Store manager one. Yeah. Now store manager is also being logged in successfully. Let's logged out and also customer. And let's log in. Yep, everything is working fine for us now. Based on our rules, we are able to log in now. There is one caveat which I didn't explain that you might take care of. So that is, so if you see here in our home.html page, we said that admin has two roles. One role is an admin, another is store manager. So that particular user has two roles. It's an admin role as well as a store manager. But what we are trying to do when we are displaying this particular home page, what we are trying to do is we are just saying admin, and we are only displaying him the admin dashboard, but we are not displaying him the store manager. But if he wants to access the store manager dashboard, which is different, so you can take care of that by providing in the navigation bar of the admin, you can provide the store manager dashboard link, and we will do that. So now if you see here, we have done taken care of it. So now what we will do, we'll create three templates. Basically here we'll create three templates. One is for admin dashboard.html. Similarly, we'll create another for customer underscore dashboard.html. And next one would be store manager. Store manager dashboard. So we have created these three files now, and whatever content I want to write here. So let's say in my admin dashboard, I am defining a div tag uh, saying h1. Yep. And now, so I want to have control. So I want to make the admin dashboard file a different file, customer file a different file, and customer dashboard file a different file. And so similarly, store manager. So how I can do that with the help of home.html? I can use include tag, which we used. So I can use include tag, which we did here. So the similar way we are now, whatever was the content of admin dashboard.html file, we'll bring that up and we'll paste it here. So we are somewhat trying to modularize our code, and here is the logic which we have written it. Similarly, for the store manager and the customer will do the similar thing. Please let me know if things are getting a bit hard to understand.
It's going good.
DSHP. All right, so that's how we will modularize now. So now also in the navigation bar, so we have used some sort of conditioning here, right? Similar conditioning can be done like the way we have used if else, and we are changing the content of our DOM based on which user has logged in. Similar thing we can do for the navigation bar as well. For now, if you see here on our HTML page, even if whatever user is being logged in, these navigation bars don't change. So similarly, based on the session information, the last time we have stored the user details in the session, with the help of the session information, we can specify which all link should display on various pages for our. So the links can be different for admin dashboard. It can be different for customer and so on. So we'll do that now. We'll also work on navigation for a bit similar to way we have done for our home page. So in our navbar.html, you see the code which was responsible for displaying these lists. If you see here, these are the list items which you see here, right? With the nav link and these login and register. We'll use similar things. So let's do it. Let's bring out a space here so that we can segregate out where we are working on. So here, based on my rule, which rule I have logged in, I'll display these links. So it's very similar to what we have done in our home page. We'll do similar things here. That is if uh, not session.get, it should be user email and none. We have done this. If it's not there, we need to have these two navigation links. All right, but if else we need to specify the navigation links based on, and if we need to specify these navigation based on the roles of the user. So if admin is there, admin day is there in session.get user underscore role. The data type is a string here, so we need to modify it to a list so that we can our if condition the admin in session.get, it can iterate over, and we will convert it into a list, and then we'll check if admin is there or not. If admin is there, if you remember, okay, so here we are at an admin. So if in admin can create a new categories. So we'll add an hyperlink to add a category here. Lee. Okay, and the page we will add is for add category. All right. So now if you so similar way we'll do it for others also. Else if store manager in session.get user role, and if it's none, we'll specify certain conditions, otherwise it would be an else. So if it's because we have only 3 conditions which are possible, so we'll say else and we'll specify and if. Here we'll add the number links for store manager, and similarly here we can add the link for our customer. So I hope now you have understood, right? When we're using sessions, we have made our life easier, how the navigation bars will be changing. So we have a specific structure, and based on which user has logged in, everything is being specified into just one template itself. And based on with the help of Jinja, we can navigate which DOM structure which we want to display to a user based on various conditions which is it is satisfying. So I hope this is clear now. And so if user is not logged in, we are showing him the login or register. But if it's a admin user, we are showing an add category. And similarly, we can add multiple links which we want to add on our navigation bar based on which role a user has logged in. And same, we have done similar things. We have done it for the admin dash homepage. So now let's create a new template. And now we want to add uh, categories. So we will create a form to add the categories and set up the functionalities to add a category into a database. And this functionality is only with an admin and it's not with the store manager. So we have to take care of that. And yeah, before that also, let's see, we were there when we observed that in the navigation bar when we have, though we have the navigation links, but we have not defined any hyperlinks here. How we can do that, that's the next thing which we'll see. After that we'll move to add category component. So here, so if you remember talking about this, in my auth.route.py files, we did use something called as an url for. How many of you have like understood what this url for is doing? Basically, it will give you the path or the endpoint for a particular functionality. So for example, if we are saying URL for home, it is giving us the endpoint for the home page where we have defined the function, right? So similarly, we can use this URL for home inside the Jinja as well. So how we can do that? So here on the navigation bar.html page. So if you see here, we have the login link. So we have to specify the hyperlink here, right? So we can just specify in double curly brackets. We can specify URL for, and this is URL for login. So we can specify here. And similarly, we can specify the URL for, I think we have given register if I'm not wrong. So here in when you are using the URL for the this particular attribute, the argument which you are passing, it should be the function name. So it should be the function name as this function we are passing over there. All right. So in the nav.html, we have also specified the hyperlinks now. Let's save. Let's Control C, run it for a moment, and we'll slash. What we will do? We'll just log out. Let's log in with admin credentials once again, and we'll log in. And now our navigation link is being changed according to which user has logged in. I hope you have appreciated this. Now there is this thing which I found under that it is being a bit misbehaving, and that is in home.html. Though we have removed this, but we didn't save the file. That was the problem. It was misbehaving. Okay. Anyways, so let's work on now on for add categories. We'll create a new template here, and the template would be for add category form. And I hope you won't be facing any problem in adding a category. It's very similar to how we have added a user. It is much more simpler because there would be less of fields which we are taking. We will be just taking name and descriptions only. But before going to that, before displaying that, if you remember when I was defining the models.py file, I did not define the models for our categories, products, stuff like that. So right now I'll quickly define those as well. Class product. First we need to define category. I hope you will not be having any problems here. It's just the same thing which we are repeating. It should have an ID, which would be the category ID for us, the name and description, and that's it. And similarly, we can define the products. And here we'll define some fields which are like ID, name, description, price, and category ID, the foreign key between here. We'll also define the products of basically relationship between the categories table and the products table, and that would be okay. I'll have to change the name with the capital letters because that's the best practice. Okay, and in products we'll just say db dot relationship. We have defined the relationship between the categories and the products, and it would be can here if you see here when we are defining the relationship here, we use the secondary as the table because there was a secondary table, but here we don't need that. The only reason is we are it's an one to many relationship, because for one category there can be multiple products, but for yeah, that's a one to many relationship. All right, and with this now, uh, and here what we are trying to, okay, so here in the category, yeah, and it should be products. All right, so what is the purpose of backref will I'll emphasize this here after a certain after some time when we are working on displaying the products which we have created, but for now you can hold off with the idea what is backref. But we have defined a product details you can add, so you might have come up with various uh, attributes which want to pass, then various columns you would need to have in your columns, but for now we can also add the selling price because I need to display something here. Selling price, or sorry, it should be the cost price because the price we are storing as that price, and is equals to db dot column db dot float, and yeah, and here it should be float itself. Okay, and f should be capital. Okay, we'll see if error comes because I feel that I remember that it should be f, but we'll figure it out when we are creating this. So there is a problem which I'm making a error here. I don't remember if it's f is capital or f is small, but I'll text it. I'll test this one, and name, description, price, and also let's handle how we can add a particular image, or basically for in our case it can be a product description kind of a pdf, how we'll handle the pdf file. So for that I am okay, here is this thing. Okay, we'll come back. Consider, and this is I'm adding this particular field not relevant to the grocery store application but relevant to your quizmaster application. Okay, so in your quizmaster application you want to upload pdf files. For example, before, let's say that you have one particular chapter. In chapter you want to add a section where you want to upload the notes of this particular chapter, and you want to display that. So right now you have a pdf file which you want to display to the user, and also as an administrator of the application, I need to upload those files. So anywhere these pdf files need to be stored. Somehow we need these pdf file needs to be stored, and how we can do that, and that's our next discussion which we're going to do now. So you can think of storing like this particular scenario as any suggestion. Okay, before that, any suggestions how you can do that? You want to store pdf files for various chapters which you're trying to do, and guys, any suggestions? Okay, I'll tell you. So if you want to store a PDF file, how you can do that? You get up. A user will upload the PDF file to you on the server, and that file is being sent to the server now. Now server has a file. Somehow you can access that file. So once you have access to that file, you store that into your server. Some files in some file structure, you store that file in some particular folder, and wherever you are storing that file, you take the path or the address of that particular file and you store that into your database. So that's the one way we can store it, and that's how we will be implementing it. So for that, I'm implementing something called an PDF URL. So that is product description, product details URL. So this would be the URL for the file which we are storing in a particular files. So I hope, did I make this particular point clear? You want me to explain this again?
It's clear. It's clear.
Your voice was breaking. Can you come again?
I said it's clear. You
All right. So can be more than 200. Okay. All right. So that's how I've designed it now. All right. I think my models are just these models are sufficient for now. We can move ahead to and if we need any models in a later stage, we'll come and add it. But for now, for this concept, whatever we're gonna do now, that's sufficient. Let's save the model and what we'll do now here. Okay. Come back to the add category h.html. I'll just quickly go to the login.html file, whatever content I have written over here. I'll just do Control Alt, Control C, and I'll paste into my categories table, and I'll just modify some of the fields. First thing which I will modifying is the action, but for now I am putting it as an hash. I will be sending a post request to this particular URL, and what all fields I need for the categories. First thing would be the label, and let's add heading 1, and that should be class. Okay, I'll just add simple add category. Next thing which I want to modify is here the title, and when I'm modifying it here, the type should be text because I'm entering the text here. Instead of email address, now I am accepting the category name. Category name. I'm not explaining this because we already have a detailed discussion for this. So I'm just quickly modifying all this name, and similarly the description, and here it should be text. Okay, instead of text here, let me come here and describe. Instead of a text here, we'll use the text area. It doesn't matter, you can use text area. I'll be using some for simplicity. For the wasting time, we'll use this option. Okay, I'll remove this thing from here. I've defined a basic add categories HTML, which will be taking the forms and which will be accepting as the fields as in form, and it will be displaying it. So that's it. And now let's go to the routes.py file, and here we will create our next route. I don't need this about page. So next route which I want to do is that would be for add category. And for this also we need two methods. Define add category. So we are creating a function category. Okay. All right. Now this functionality is only accessible to the admin, right? So what we will do, we'll first check if session dot get user underscore role none, admin is in the session list, then this page is accessible. Otherwise, you are not authorized to access that page. That's the first validation which we have done. All right. Now the next thing which we want to do is here if request is a get request, we need to display the add categories form. So If request.method is get, we are just rendering the template add category.html. If request.method is a post request, we need to accept that the way we have done it for login, the same thing which we are doing here, request. The same thing we are doing here for the form element. That is, we first a request, we get that data from there. I'll remove all this. So any doubts till this particular point what we are done? If a request is a get request, we are rendering the template. And if it's a request is a post request, though that is user has clicked on the submit button and it's sending us the details of name and description. We have taken the name and description from the request. Now we need to do some sort of data validations. That exercise I hope is very familiar to you, because we cannot trust blindly on the user data. That user will enter the correct credentials. So first thing which we need to do, and there is this let's impose a condition, that is there can have only unique category names into our database. All right. So for that, we need to query our categories table. That is category category dot query dot get. We'll query our table, category table, and check whether the name which has been entered by the user, this particular name, already exists or not. And if exist, we'll flash a message saying that category already exists. Similarly, if, and also before that, we also need to ensure that the fields which a user has entered is not empty. We have kept the description as optional, so we'll not check for the description to be compulsory, and the only field which is required is category name. All right, so that's being done. The data validation is done now. And the exercise is very similar to what we have done when we are registering a user. Now the validation is done. Now we need to enter the data into a database. So how we can add the data content into the database is very simple. It's like we'll create first a category object. We'll create a new category object stating category is name, and but whatever content we have, whatever the information we received from the template, we'll create an object with that. And once we have created the object, we'll just say db.session.add new category. We will be adding the data into the database, and we'll just finally commit it. So if these 3 lines are being executed, that means that we have successfully added the data. So we'll flash the category added successfully. And once that is done, so that we have successfully added the categories now. So we'll redirect it to we'll redirect it to our home page. So it would be URL for home. And this is irrespective of whether the request is a post request or not. We have not imported the URL for, so quickly we'll go and import from here. All right. Any doubts when we are in the add category?
No doubts.
Okay, so let's check this whether this thing is working for us. Let's see, all files are being saved. I hope yes, all files are saved. So let's restart the server. There is a error, that is float. I told you right, when we are creating a problem, the PEM was not sure. So the field, it should be not small f, it should be capital F. I have corrected that error. There was an attribute error which came, and I've corrected that by changing the data type here. Let's save the file and run the server again. Okay, server is running properly. If you go and see our database, we'll refresh it, and the new 2 new tables which we wanted to form has already been created now, customer and product. There is, I want you to give a disclaimer here. Even though I didn't delete my database here, but the customer table and product table did got edited. But there is this thing, let's say that in my models.py file, if I make changes to existing models, right? If I would have made any changes to the customer or to the store manager, if I made those the changes, then the new columns which we specify here, they will not be displayed, that they will not be added here. So you, for that, if you are changing any, if you are making any changes to the existing models in your models.py file, then you have to delete your database and restart it. And because if you have made any changes to the existing models, those changes will not reflect in your database. With this, I'll continue ahead now. Let's see if we are able to add categories here. Have I specified the path? No, I have not specified the path here. So I'll just visit the URL directly. Category. I'm able to add the category. I have to correct this. I'll do that later, but let's say I'm adding fruits and the description says fruits are healthy. And let's submit. And we got some error. Let's modify. Let's see what error we got. And the error we got is here, get. Okay. I'll explain what this error is. This is an important thing which you should know. I hope few of you might already know this, but anyways, I'll explain this. So in my routes.py file, I have used a get function, not here, here. We use get functions. This get function is basically used when we are querying our models on the primary key. Since name is not a primary key, we cannot query our models based with the help of get function. If we were querying on ID primary key, that is the primary key for us in the case of categories model, then we could have directly used the get. But since that's not the case, we'll use filter by. All right, let's save the file. Let's stop and run it again. And yes, there is one more thing which we need to do. And that is, and you see here, the URL which the post request was sent to, it is /category hash, right? We need to correct this. And the way to correct this is, if I go to my add categories.html, I have not specified the URL which it should take to. So I can use double curly brackets and specify URL for here as well. In the previous, when we were doing the login register, I explicitly specified the URL /login/register. But at later stage, if we want to change the endpoint, we have to manually do those changes in all the files. But with the help of URL4, since we are passing the function name, the problem is somehow taken care of. So this is being added to add category. All right, I've saved this file as well. Let's save it. And okay, let's go to the previous page. Let's refresh the page. Let's now enter the details here and submit. And our category has been successfully added. And if we go to the database, where is the database here? And the category table, if I refresh, the category is being added successfully. We can add multiple categories now. Let's also, okay, let's add the path, the URL here as well, if we are able to. Let's make this particular link clickable. So for that, we can go to the navbar.html file. Here, if you see here, this is the place where we have defined the navigation link. And here the href, which is here, it's hash for now. We can update this particular hash the way we have been doing it for login and register. We are using URL_4, and let's specify the function name where we have defined the route. I hope no doubts here. Let's save the file. Let's stop the server and rerun it. Let's revisit the home page. This is the home page. Let's click on the add category. We are being redirected to the add category now. Let's add another categories as vegetables, and the description is eat more. Some description I'm adding, and we are able to successfully add the categories now. So now the next part which we need to focus on. So we are able to add the categories. Now let's similarly create an HTML page for adding the products. And the thing with the product which we decided was, when we were deciding what problem statement we need to focus on, we decided that products can only be added by the store manager and not the admin. And that was a problem statement which we were working with. So let's similarly go and to the store manager here and specify that add product. All right. I'll come to the, if I'll not, if I put it here like this, I might get an error. For now, I'll be putting hash. Uh, I'll come and modify it later. With this thing, we have successfully added the categories now. Now let's create a new template that would be very similar to how we have done the add categories. So I'm just going a bit faster now. So I'll be creating a template for add products. All right. And here is one thing which you need to focus on, right? So when a store manager is adding a product, he need to specify the categories, right? So basically what I mean here by this is that when we are creating a form for adding a product, we need to have a we need to have a field where we are selecting the various categories which are already existing into the database. So right now when we did add categories here, at this point when we are getting a get request, we are just simply rendering the template. We are not sending any data with that template, so that that can be with the help of that we can render based on what data is being received and like that. So in order to understand it well, what we can think of is like, we first, before even rendering the template, we have to query our database to get which all categories already exist in a database, and then based on that we need to modify our HTML template in such a way that if there are 5 categories in a table, then it should also list all those 5 categories. But if there are only 2 categories, then it should only list those 2 which are there. So this particular field, like based on number of categories into our database, we need to specify it. Did someone made any messages, send any messages here? Okay. Huh. So I hope you got the problem which is there with adding a product, right? Shall I move ahead now?
Yes.
Okay. So before that, we have created an add product.html file. Let's quickly copy this content directly from there, or rather not this. I'll just copy the register.html page here, and I'll put it in the add product. Okay. I'll quickly modify some of the things. That is, first it's add product. The title of the page is add product. Here, instead of the heading is register, the heading should be add product. We'll modify the action later. So for now, it's hash. What all fields we are taking? Let's quickly go to the models.py file to understand which all fields we need to take. We need to take name, we need to take description, price. Okay, first add these 2. We need to add product name. The type should be, instead of text, it should be email. Instead of email, it should be text. It should be name here. All right, this is taken care of. Product name is taken care of. Let's take description. Don't need this part. Also, I need to remove this placeholder, the placeholder which was kept coming at that particular point. And instead of the password, it should be text, and let's name as description. All right, so we have taken care of product name, we have taken care of description, and what else is there? Model sort by file, price and cost price. So you can modify the form, the UI of the form based on your preferences. It's just right now it's just all the fields listed one below each other. So you can modify that at later point. You can customize it according to your requirements. But for now, I'm just putting it price, and it should be number, or what other fields we have. Number is there. How we can enter integer, so it is color, date, date time, local file, hidden, month, number, password. uh, so it's text URL. Okay, let's add number here. Mm, and the type is name is price. I don't need this text. And here price, I'll store the cost price. Okay, cost price. Anything else? Model sort by file, cost price system. Yeah. Now we have to create product URL. So you need to focus on three things now. One is how we can accept the file from the user. That's the first point which we need to focus on. That is how we can accept the file. Second thing is how we can, though we have accepted the file, the user has uploaded the file now, but how we will be sending that particular file along with the text to the server. So that's the second point which we need to take care of with the files. And the third thing which we need to take care of is how to store that file into various folder. Also how to get the how to store the URL into the database. So these are three things which we need to focus on sending the files. All right, so the one thing is very simple, how to accept the file. That is we can directly, the way we have been doing it, and that is we'll be using the input text very similarly, but here will be just say product details, uh, upload documents. Product document, let's upload that. And instead of using the type, we'll be using the type as file. That's the only change we need to make in case of inputs, uh, to allow the user to upload the files. All right, so we'll change the name as product details. All right, product file. Now the change which we need to make here again, also we need to we can specify something called as an accept here, specifying which type of files you are accepting. Let's say we are saying that we will only accept the PDF file, so we just specify .pdf. You can go to the documentation of HTML page, of the documentation of the HTML on MDN docs, and you can specify how you can specify various accepts. If you are specifying, let's say that you are accepting images, so how you can specify that you only accept the images and not other files. So for now we are only accepting the PDF file, so I've just specified the attribute accept as .pdf. So that's the one thing. Now the next thing which I need you to focus on is the form element itself. When we are defining the form tag, here we also need to send something called an encryption type. How this information, how this is to be done, because by default it's like application form URL encoded is there. But if we want to send the file, it also says that when we are saying that encryption type, my helper document says that if we have an element called as in file with type file, we need to specify it as multi-part form data. So we'll specify encryption type as multi-part form data. If we are sending the file from here, but we don't define this encryption type as multi-part form data, we will be able to receive all other files, all the other like description, price, cost price, all these things we'll be able to receive, but you will not be receiving the uploaded file to the server. So with this, we have taken care of two things: how you user will upload the file from the front end. That is being taken care by the type accept making these changes into your input tag. The second thing is how we'll be sending the data. We'll be sending the data using the encryption type called as multi-part form data. Okay, with this, we have taken care of the two problems. The third problem, which how we'll save the file and all, that we will take care at the server side or the backend side. But now let's move ahead now. Any doubts with encryption type accept and how we can accept the files?
All clear. All clear.
All right. So the next part which I was discussing is how to dynamically list the categories which are there in our database. So that's the next part which we need to focus on. And for that, I would be using a drop-down button. So I'll want to take a you know code for the drop-down button from Bootstrap. Hmm. All right. So here is the components, and it should be forms input group and checkbox radio button, multiple add-ons, buttons, button with drop downs. Okay, no, I don't need this. Okay, I don't need the groups, I need just the form elements. So here I'll just pick one of the drop downs. Where is the I need check your I don't need check buttons, radio. Hmm. If you want to design a custom page, a form element like this, like with a customized grid, you can just look for the documentation here. It's very simple. Hmm. Yep, here is the code for the drop down button. I'll just pick up this code. Okay. Not just this, with this. Okay. Just give me a minute. I have to connect the charger. All right, guys, I'm back. So we were trying to do something here. Can you just give me what we were, where we were, what we were trying to do?
Drop down button.
Yeah, yeah, correct. So let me define a dev block here with classes MB3. All right, and whatever code I have copied from the Bootstrap documentation, I'll paste it here. Huh. So the things which will change based on number of categories which are there in our database is this particular code, right? So if there are if there are three categories, we'll have three options here. If there are like five categories, we'll have five options. So how we can customize that? That's our next objective. And in order to do that, we will use something called as for loop in Jinja, right? So for category in categories, where this categories will come from, we'll see that. But for now, we have a variable name as categories which stores objects of the category. uh, where this categories is coming from, we'll see that at a later point. But at this point, you don't apart from that, do you have any questions, like where anything else? And here what we will do, and we'll just say and for. So we have defined a block, and we'll just say and define the value here. So what we are going to do, since I told you that this categories is this categories variable has the list of objects of the category model which we have. So we can access the ID, we can access the name, we can access the description by simply saying categories.name, categories.id. We can access that. With that thing keeping in mind, the next thing is you see here, like the code which I have copied from the Bootstrap, it does not have a name attribute. How these things need to be done? So we'll define a name attribute here inside the select tag, and it should store the category ID. Nothing else. I think with this change, we will be able to accept all the categories which are there in a database, and it will be able to display. If some errors come, we'll see and we'll correct it at the later point. But as of now, there is nothing that needs to be changed. I don't need the radio button here, so I'll remove this. And instead of submit, it should be submit, or let's say add product. All right. Let's save this particular template for now, and let's go to the routes.py file. And now next objective after adding the categories is to add the products into the database. So let's see, we specify app.route. We'll add products and define add product. Okay, similar check like whether the user is store manager or not. That can be done. So if store manager not in session.get user role, all right, we'll say you are not authorized to access the page. Otherwise, if the request dot method is get, we'll simply say that's what we have been doing now, that we will be rendering the template. For now, let's save this particular file, restart a server to see what has happened till this particular point. So the endpoint is add product. Let's go to the home page. We have to log out. So the one thing which we have to do is we have to add the logout button here. That's the one thing which we have to do. We'll do it later, but for now let's log out, log in with the store manager, and let's log in. Okay, That's how the store manager looks for now. And this is the add product. We have to go and add product. Okay, there is an error. And there is an error with the template not found as add product. Okay, the template name which we have given is add products. So let's save the file, restart the server. And let's see. Okay, this is how our page looks like. And for now, you see that we are able to, you can upload a file here by clicking on the file, and you can just upload the PDF file. That has been taken care of. But things with the preferences, if we see, this is empty. We didn't get any preferences categories, though we have 2 categories into the database. And that's where we have to send the data. So in order to send the data, first we have to retrieve the data from our database. So we'll just say we'll query all the information which is there in categories table, and we'll query everything. And so now the variable type, the data type of this particular variable is list of objects. So you can iterate over this, and each element of this particular list is an object of the category class. So now in order to pass this thing, so you see here, right, in my, when I've defined the template here as add products, I have given this particular name as categories, all categories. Let's give the name as all categories. So I'm assigning this particular variable its value here in my line number 53 by saying that this all categories in the Ginger template is equivalent is to the categories. So now we have assigned this all categories variable its value, and that's how we are passing when we are entering the template. So with this now, we have made the change. Let's restart the server. And now let's refresh our page. And if you see here, there is some error. No, there is no error. All categories. Let's see what is the problem with the, oh, we didn't save this particular file. We have to save this file as well. Server is running. Let's refresh the page. And now if we go, we can see all the preferences here. We can see all the categories, right? And any doubt, guys? If you have any doubts, you can ask now, whatever we have done till now. Yes. I'll assume that no one has any doubts. So let's go to the part where we are accepting those information which we have received from the front end, and now we are adding actually the details. So in the routes.py file where we have defined the get request, similarly we'll define request.method as post, and first we have to accept all the fields. So what all names we have given, I have to take care of that as well. name, description, price, name, description, price, and cost price, product file. Instead of the form, right, we are doing it form here, right? Instead of form, we'll do file. We'll do files. Dot get. Did you see the difference when we are accepting the files? Instead of form, we are doing the files here. Request dot files. And whatever the name we have given here in the name as name, we'll just accept that. Uh, Here, while accepting the files, we have used request.files.get instead of request.form.get. This is how we have accepted the file. Now we have everything in our control. Everything which we need to do is we have in our server. Now we just need to do all the data validations, ensuring that everything which is required has been uploaded. And we'll just check for name, price, cost price, and category ID. All these things has been uploaded. We are okay with to go. And if we have a product brochure, right? If we have the product brochure, we need to save it somewhere. So for that, let's import OS. So this will help us to create a path, specific path that is required to store the files. So where we're going to store these files is in the static folder. I will create a new folder named as product details, right? And there, in my configurations file, I have defined a new variable which I can modify at a later stage, saying that if let's say that today I want to store my files into a static folder. Later, if I want to make a change, I don't want to store the file in a static folder or somewhere else I want to store those files. I can just change it in the configuration file rather than going into my base code and making changes there. I hope this is clear. And now I'm using os.path.join as a function, which will concatenate these two paths as upload folder and underscore product details. Okay. Now we have the folder where we want to store the files. Also, let's also get the file name, which has been uploaded to us, product washer.file name. And where we want to store the file, we want to store the file as let's say that the file which we have uploaded is named as main.pdf. We want to store that file as static / product details / main.pdf. So we are specifying the path here, which says that okay, you have to save the file as os.path like this, right? And here we have saved the file using the save function. The product URL which is there, That is the URL is the product. It should be product underscore details. I'll tell you why I'm not saving the static folder here when I'm going to query the PDF files. But for now, you can assume that I'm storing as a product details slash the file name in my database. And that's done. I've saved the file now. Also, if you want to do other data validations with the name, description, price, cost price, saying that cost price should be greater than price and all sort of those things, you can do that. One data validation which I would do for the category ID is the category ID which has been sent back to me should be valid. So for that, I'll just say category is equals to uh, category dot query field query dot get. Since ID is the primary key, I can just use directly the get function, and I don't need to specify anything such as first and all like that. Now I can define the new product. I need to add the details. New product is equals to product. Is this clear what we have done here now? Do I need to explain it?
A little bit is of confusion is there to me.
Which is the part which is little bit confusing?
That product details part. Why didn't we use static portion in? I think won't we get error if we didn't use static there also?
Okay. Uh, so in the front end, right? When we are serving the files, we are serving the files at this particular URL, which is https 127.0. Like 0.0.1 semicolon. So this is the URL where we are serving our files. So I when we use we can use this particular file. We can use this particular function, which is URL for, right, and we can say static and file name. So what will happen here is, so it will return us the URL like this. Okay, 127.0.0.1 semicolon 5000 slash static slash whatever the product name is, right? That's the how it will give us the path. Since we are using this URL for static because we are serving our files from the static folder, this path is already being created when we use this. And we need to specify the file name that would be different for all other products. So, and when we're displaying it, we are displaying this particular path. So this particular information. That's why we are storing only the product underscore details slash file name as the URL in our database. Is this clear now?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Anything else which you want me to explain?
No, no, no. Everything is clear.
Yep. All other things, all other details like creating the object, adding to the database, committing it, and redirecting, flashing message. That's we have already been doing that. So by now, you should be very familiar on how you can add the data into your database, because you have seen that when I was adding the products, when I was adding the categories, or when I added the user, I did very similar things. And same thing will go when you are adding your product details, when you're submitting your quizzes, or when I'm placing an order. Placing an order means that means that I'm adding some attributes in the checkout table. So all these things are very similar. That is, you can simply add the data now. The only thing which is displaying the data and updating the data, that we will do later. That's the two things which are left. But in the CRUD, you can read the data. We have been reading the data here. Like we have read the data from line number 77. We have seen various ways to read the data. That is, we have used filter by, we have used the dot get function. We have also used all the categories which are there. We have done the read, we have done the create. The only part from the CRUD is update and delete, right? And yep, that's it. And I'll save the file now. For that, let's see if I'm able to add the products or not, and if there are any errors, we'll correct that. Okay, app is running. Let's refresh the page. Product name, let's add apples, red fruit, and let's price as, I'm selling it for 100 rupees. It cost me only 9 rupees. I'm making a profit of around 91 rupees. It's an expensive store, by the way. Let's upload some particular file. Let's add into the categories and let's click on add. Hopefully we got, I was about to say hopefully we don't get any errors, but we did get any errors. And the error is with the line, no such directory exists. Okay. Let's comment out this. Okay, I don't need to comment this out. I just need here folder. Have I made any spelling mistake in the product details? Static slash PRO. Okay. It should be product details and not the products. Okay, here this problem is here. That is product. It should, I have created a folder name as product and not products and details. Let's undo whatever changes I've done here. Okay. Let's save this. Restart the server. Let's go back. Also, I need to refresh the page. Product has been added successfully without any errors. If we come here, you see in the product details, the file which we uploaded has come. All right. Also, in our database file, the way we wanted to add our file, if we go to the product table, let's refresh also. You see here, we have got the path as well now. So this is the way you can upload your files. And here we'll stop now. What all we have done is we have added the products. We are able to add products. We are able to add categories. We have customized our home page based on which user has logged in. Also, we have customized how our navigation link changes based on which user has logged in. So that's all we have covered today. And in next session, we'll focus on two things. One thing would be to display all the products and the categories which we have been added into the database uh, on both the customer page, customer homepage, admin homepage. All right. And the next thing after that, what we will do is we'll also add the functionality of delete and update. And that would cover almost our 90% of the project. The remaining part would be like search and how to implement the search functionalities, and then the next part which is left is how to create a summary pages, so basically how to generate the graphs from the data which we have stored. So that's the only portion which is remaining. And By today's session, we have almost completed 60 to 70% of our project requirements. Basically, when I say 50 to 60% of the project requirement, I mean that by the whatever we have covered till now, you would be able, using all those concepts, you will be able to complete 50 to 70% of your project. And with this, we'll end your session here now. If you have anything to ask, you can ask. I'll stop the recording.